Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tembi, and on this channel I talk about life in Australia, nursing, finances, travel, and so much more other things as well. On this week's video I had the pleasure of talking to Rhoda, who is a travel nurse, is a fellow travel nurse over here in Australia, and we had a great chat about travel nursing in Australia, what her experience has been like, the places she's been to, the money she earns, the best and the worst of what she's experienced so far. So it was an incredible chat, and I'm so happy that I finally finished editing this video and that you can finally see it. But just like a quick note before we dive into the chat with Rhoda, we had some issues with the sound and with our Wi-Fi and connection when we were having the chat. So the sound quality does change, and it doesn't, it does kind of turn a little bit bad at around the 12-minute mark. But I will just say that, like, please continue and watch and listen all the way until the end, because Rhoda has got so much stuff to say, so much valuable information, especially if you're a fellow travel nurse or if you are someone who is hoping to work as an agency or travel nurse across Australia. And if you want to, you can just like put the subtitles on. That will probably make it a little bit easier. But yeah, just keep going with it. And if you want any of Rhoda's information, everything is linked down in the bio below. She's truly like an amazing girl. Absolutely loved having a chat with her. Can totally see us being friends. And yeah, so yeah, let's dive into it. Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Tembi, and on this channel I talk all about Australia, I talk about travel, and yeah, just everything else in between. Thank you so much for joining me this week. I have got a very special guest with me. As you know, I have been in Australia doing some travel nursing, working here, living here temporarily, permanently, who knows, we'll see. And as I started doing travel nursing, I have been meeting lots of people, and it's been really good to have a chat with them. And I think you are going to love our guest today. Her name is Rhoda, and she is an enrolled nurse, and she also does travel nursing as well, here in Australia. And today we are going to talk all about what it means to be a travel nurse. If you're a woman travel nursing in Australia, if you're an enrolled nurse as well, we're going to cover all of it, from pay to work to politics, whatever it is. Without any further ado, welcome, Rhoda.
Thank
Please
you.
introduce yourself.
My name is Rhoda Kut. I am a travel enrolled nurse in Australia, and I have been doing this for 2 years now. I am South Sudanese Australian, and I'm a 26-year-old travel nurse.
So thank you so much, first and foremost, for agreeing to do this with me. I really appreciate you. Like I said, I saw your TikToks. So she's got a great TikTok, which I'm going to leave down in the description below, where she talks all about like her travel nursing journey, adventures, whenever she's on her placements. That is how I personally found her as well, which was on TikTok. So I will leave that linked down below, so so you can get to see that. So the first question I had for you, Rhoda, was can you just tell me a little bit about your nursing journey so far? Because from what I understand is like you're an enrolled nurse. So can you tell us like what is an enrolled nurse and what does that mean? Is like in Australia, like what is that?
So you go and complete your 2 years diploma. You still do all the pracs that's needed, all the nursing requirements. After your 2 years, after you completed your 2 years, you go and apply for your AHPRA registration. So it's a normal process with a registered nurse, but just we go to TAFE. And you work, once you are qualified, you work under a registered nurse. So an enrolled nurse cannot do a dangerous drug check with an enrolled nurse. So you do that with a registered nurse. So you would work under a supervision of an RN. That's what an enrolled nurse is. But yeah.
Is that like a shorter than a nursing degree? So is that 2 years instead of 3, or?
Yes, it's 2 years. So it's a 2-year diploma. So if you do go on to uni, you do 3 years, and if you go and do your diploma, obviously 2 years, and RN 3 years. But if you have completed your diploma and you want to go on and do your RN, you get 1 year off. So you would only have 2 years to do your registered, your Bachelor of Nursing. So they take a year off. So you start from the second year, which is what I did. I applied, and I started on my second year, and then I still got another year to go. Yeah.
How long have you been qualified for? How long have you been an enrolled nurse for?
So I have been an enrolled nurse for 3 years now. If not 3, then 3.5. But I have been a travel nurse for the last 2 years.
What sort of made you make that switch from being a permanent member of staff and all of that into travel nursing, where you often have to go to different places, especially like so early on in your career? Like, I'm really interested to know sort of what was the thought process behind you wanting to become a travel nurse.
So I didn't even know what a travel nurse was before I even started nursing. But once I finished, I was watching a couple of nurses on TikTok and like social media, just traveling and working, and I was like, oh, like that looks something that, just something that I was attracted to. So when I finished, I straight away wanted to do travel nursing. And the agencies, they said, no, you have to have 2 years experience. We can't just take you on board. You do have to be confident and stuff like that. So I said, okay, that's fine. I went off and did my, I did home care, community. I worked in rehab. I did agency, because as soon as I finished my nursing, I got a permanent job for like 6 months, and I applied agency within like the state. So I was just doing aged care hospital here and there, but I had a permanent job on the side. So once I did that, I was like, travel nursing was always like at the back of my head. I was like, that's what I want to do. That's what I see myself doing. I'm a very adventurous person. So I like to experience new places. I like to meet people. But on top of that, I'm not gonna lie, the money is amazing. It's amazing pay, and you get paid worth according to your experience and how hard you work. So at the end of the day, you work hard, you earn that. When I was working, when I was doing permanent jobs, like I was doing RN's job, I was working, long hours.
Yeah.
The money was not making sense. It's like I work so hard, the money's not making sense. So the money is another, like, top of my list. The money is the reason I do it, but I also do it because that's where my heart is. And when I finish my RN, I do see myself going international. I do want to work for the UN. I want to do agency. I want to travel. If I still don't have, kids or commitments like that at that time, that's what I see myself doing. It's just something in me. It's not something I can really explain. It's just like, when you have this passion for something, and travel nursing is like my passion. I don't know if I would say it's my calling, but I have patience. So that's just me. I have patience. So when the time comes, I am looking forward to that. Yeah, and I love exploring Australia. Australia is amazing. It's beautiful. I did do a couple of towns in WA before I started. So I like maybe 6 or 7 towns around because WA here, Perth is huge. It's
Yeah.
big. It's big. So I did agency here, and then I said I'm ready to go outside of the state. I'm ready to like go and do a contract, and that's where my last contract was, in Queensland. So I went to Queensland and I came back and I said, I don't want to stay here. I've seen everybody. I've seen my family. I'm ready to go. I just want to keep going. But yeah, that was a long answer.
Oh wow. So that is quite a lot. You've spoken about quite a lot. So I just want to, go back to touch on some of what you said, because I'm quite similar. to you in the sense that like I feel like I'm a very like adventurous person. I like to travel, and that's my plan for how I'm gonna see Australia, which is to go to different places.
Yes.
But one of the main things that I was scared of, and which I was really warned about before I came to Australia to do this travel nursing, is because I'm doing like regional and remote rural nursing.
Yeah,
A lot of people were like, "Oh, the racism in the small towns is really bad." But I have to say, so far where I am, I'm in a small town called Albury, and I've had a really good positive experience the last 3 months that I've been here. I'm interested to know what's been your experience being a Black person, mainly a Black woman, working in these small towns and needing these people. Yeah, how's that been?
To be honest with you, I haven't personally experienced racism from my coworkers or from the towns that I go to. Racism usually sometimes comes from the patients that you take care of. A lot of them would look at you like you're incompetent, but that is not your fault because they're not educated or just ignorant. But coworkers are always supportive. As an agency nurse, the only time co-workers are a bit, the conflict is there is when they look at you like, oh, well, she's getting paid a lot of money because she's agency. Why can't she do the work? Why can't she take the workload? Because they look at you like, you're getting paid. Why don't you do this and do that? That's the conflict that happens sometimes. But racism is not something that I have experienced a lot. I would say I have experienced racism maybe when I was working within Perth at my permanent job. I did experience a lot of racism, but traveling, no, I have not. From the patients sometimes, but it's always the baby boomers. They've got dementias, memory problems. But it's something that I never take personal. I mean, you're taught in nursing school not to take anything personal, but I don't take it personal. I just go on about my day. I'm here to do my work. I'm here to save people, and I'm gonna go home.
Yeah, because it's interesting because just to touch on some of the stuff you said, it's really interesting that you've probably faced more racism in like the bigger city at your permanent job than you have in these small town regional places, and which is very, very interesting. And I've got a similar observation as well, where I'm at so far. It's been great. I'm sure maybe I've come across some racist people. They certainly haven't told me to my face that they don't like Black people.
Agree.
So if I don't know, I don't care. And also that thing about agency nurses, and sometimes you get given a bit more work to do because of the pay that you're getting paid. But my answer to that is, listen, guys, I can always give you my agent's number. Let's go join together. Why are you getting mad at me for?
Yes. And I always say, you go and do it. Think I get paid so much and you want to give me so much workload, you go and do it and we can all get paid the same and we can all share the workload, because some of them take it to the extent of making your shifts miserable, and once you have that workload, you're not gonna have a good shift. You're gonna have a bad. I've had a couple of breakdowns myself at my last contract because it wasn't just the nurses, it wasn't just the management, it was also the carers, the AINs, and they just, some of them are, because I'm quite young, so when I work, I'm always working with older people, ladies that are a lot older than me, so they can be quite rude. I'm like, look, I'm not here to, you're not the one I'm looking after. And if you have a problem with that, take it up with your management or take it up with my agency. I have nothing else to say. Like, that's just it. I get paid more and I'm doing my job. I'm not being lazy. I'm doing my job. Because if I was, I wouldn't be here.
So I wanted to talk about coming on to one of the most important questions that everyone will be asking, which is the question of money and dollars. So tell us if you are comfortable. We're talking about the dollar, cha-ching. So, right. On average, for a 6-week contract, how much do you make as an enrolled nurse?
Oh, that is, honestly, I will answer that, but first I would say on my TikTok, how much you make at the end of the contract depends on the overtime rate. So if you're doing weekends for 6 weeks, it's gonna be good. And if you're doing overtime, your pay is gonna be good. And I have done a lot of overtime in my last contract and the previous contract before that. As an agency, they tend to give you a lot of weekends and a lot of overtime, like you're picking up overtime. So, but yeah, I have made, there's a huge difference between the contract that I did for 4 weeks and the other one that I did for 6 weeks. But I think probably about 17 grand from the contract that I
Hey,
did.
girl.
17 grand altogether. I know.
In 6 weeks.
Yeah, I did do a lot of overtime and I did do weekend. But yeah, 17 grand. Yeah, that's, and my last contract would have been like maybe 12 or 13. But I worked like every day, the 4 weeks contract. When I know my contract is short, I tend to ask for overtime and extra shifts. You got to do that. And I always put my name in the diary. I'm like, look, I'm available, I'm available, I'm available, I'm available. And sometimes they don't have an issue. If they have the funds to give to an agency nurse, they don't say no. So I'm like, look, I'm here to make money. I'm also here to enjoy.
Yeah.
But give me the overtime. Yeah. So yeah, that's the agency.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
You said for a 4-week contract, you have made 12K in 4 weeks.
I know.
Wow, that is crazy. So what has been what is like your average, or what has been like an average hourly rate for like a day shift, an average hourly rate for like a afternoon shift, and same for a night shift for an enrolled nurse?
So for the agency that I just finished my contract with, so my flat rate is $67 an hour. That's my flat rate. That's just morning. And then 67, and then afternoon I think it's like 71, I'm pretty sure. And then weekends is quite like a lot, like over $80 an hour. Sundays are like, 91. And then overtime, I think Sundays are 85. Overtime is like 90, 91 or something like that.
Wow. That is so good, because I feel like one of like pay secrecy is definitely something that happens a lot, not just in nursing, but in other like agencies as well, where people don't want to talk about money. People want to be gatekeepers, and I'm like, actually, it's important for us to be transparent, because we could be getting paid different things for exactly the same job with the same agency. So the fact that you guys actually sit around and you compare, that is so good. And at my place where I'm at right now, 3 of us are with the same agency, and we did all double check that we are all being paid the same. So that was good as well, because we got that transparency. And if we were being paid differently, I would have been like, what's going on? And speaking of agencies, so before I speak about your agency, I just want to ask, so on average, so you said you've been doing this for about 2 years now, right? 2 years. So how much did you make the last financial cycle?
Okay, so last financial year, it's 115.
Girl,
I know. Yeah.
as a
115
year out of uni.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I was really consistent at the time with my contracts. Like, I was very consistent. I didn't stop, especially last year. I just kept going and I kept going and I kept going. And the agency that I was with here, that I did the whole year with, they are based in Western Australia only, and they pay really good. Like, I was surprised. So they were paying me really good. I was getting paid like RN rate, but they were paying me level 4.
Considering the fact that with pretty much all agencies, I am yet to see an agency where they make you pay for your own accommodation. The fact that you're getting free travel, free accommodation, and you can pretty much bank your pay, I think that is one of the biggest advantages that I'm finding. Like, you know,
It
you
is
can, if
so
you've got like a
good.
goal, if you've got a target, you can just like get your head down,
Yeah,
focus, and just like make your money and not really have
literally.
that many outgoings. That's one thing that
Yeah.
I love about it. I'm interested to see, like, apart from obviously the money side, and I guess the people, questionable.
I
What else do
yeah.
you, or what do you love about doing this and this lifestyle?
This life, like I can afford to look after myself. I do not have to um you know, depend on anyone. I support my family. I support my mom. And if I was working a normal job, I would not be able to do that so much. But I support my family, and that's something I'm very proud of, and that's something that I really love about this job. Like I am able to support myself and support my family, and I can also enjoy myself, explore financial support, financial freedom, and time freedom. I wasn't born in
Mhm.
Australia. I did my schooling here, but I wasn't born here. I am a refugee, so being coming here and taking advantage of the opportunities, not committing,
Mhm.
not settling down and saying, "Let me get married, let me have kids." I'm like kids. To me, I'm like kids. Like there's things to do. There's
Girl,
contact
listen,
time.
I don't know how people are having babies. Like people my age are actually popping out babies as we
It's
speak, and I'm like,
crazy.
how do you do that? You know, you said you came here as a refugee, and obviously looking for safety, looking for a better life, and the
Yeah.
fact that you are taking full advantage of all of the opportunities. Well, that's why our parents made the journeys that they did. You know, my
Yes.
parents moved from
Yeah.
Zimbabwe to the UK when I was 8. So, you know, and you know, I was given the opportunity to, you know, to go to school for free and to literally have like a Western education and to make the most of that. And like, you know, like you know, supporting families as well as like getting to travel and enjoy life, which is something that I guess my parents never really got to do. And I guess, you know, your parents never really
Exactly.
got to do. So that I really, really like that aspect, and I really like that we've got that in common.
Love it. I haven't yet met a travel nurse that's not an African travel nurse. And when I do, I'm gonna be like, yes, girl, yes, yes, get that money and take advantage of the system because there's enough money to go around. That's why going back to you saying before, people gatekeep. Why are you gatekeeping? There's enough money to go around. Educate people that there's opportunities out there to grab. There's enough contracts to go around. There's enough money to go around. Just be a good citizen and just educate people. And I think me opening my TikTok and doing that, I'm like, I might not have a huge follower, but there are people that message me every day, and I'm happy to just like guide them. Like,
Wow. And
yeah,
speaking of agencies, what is the name for everyone out there that might be wondering, that might want to sign up with your
yeah,
agency? I'm sure they've got friend referral scheme, so I'll link
I have,
everything down
yeah.
below as well. So what's the name of your
So
agency? Who's your agent's name? What do they do? How can they help you out? How can they link everyone up?
yeah. So the agency that usually when I come back home and I'm like, look, I need to work too, I pick up agencies. So this agency is called Choice One. They
Mhm.
are just based in Western Australia. They send you around Western Australia, like all over. They're called Choice One. They're not just nursing agency. They do allied health. They do nursing. They do
Mhm.
GPs. Nurse
Mhm.
practitioners, they do everyone, they do mining and all that stuff. So they are really good, and they are when it comes to documentation. There's one thing about agency coming along, it's they require so much paperwork, like immunization, like trainings, and all that stuff. They do tend to, they're very strict with that. But once you're on, they are amazing. And they're based in Perth for anyone that is
Mm.
just wants to stay in Perth and just work here and go around WA. My second
Mhm.
agency is Alliance Rural and Remote. They are based
Mm.
in Mackay in Queensland. I think Mackay is in Queensland. They are my first serious out-of-state agency, so they will, once you're on board, they send you different contracts every Tuesday or Wednesday. So they will have a spreadsheet, contract, start date, finish date, and they pay for your accommodation, they pay for your flights, they pay for everything. So you don't, any agency I've been with, I've never had to pay for anything. So they pay for everything. All you have to do is just be there, ready to go. They will put you with one consultant, and that consultant will stay with you throughout your whole experience with them. And my second agency is B4 Recruitment. That's the one I was just in Queensland with.
Okay, no, that's really good. So I will leave a link to all three of those agencies down below so that you can also go sign up and say Rhoda sent you. You know, and I think a good agency is definitely the key, and a good agent is the key as well, because I'm with an agency called Nectar Nursing, and my agent, I think I annoy him sometimes. Because I can be very specific and particular, and I think I
Me too, girl. Yeah, I am very particular as well. When I signed up with an agency, and this is a tip, I think you had tips for new, for anyone that wants to
actually, what are some tips that you would give for people who want to start doing agency nursing, or what are some things that you've learned along the way that you think people should really know as they go into this?
My first tip would have to be having the confidence to even start agency nursing, because it's good, but it can get hectic, and you want to be able to take on a patient load. You want to have the confidence and the knowledge to do so. So if you're not comfortable, if you're being scared, there's a huge difference between being scared and being comfortable. If you're like not even comfortable, confident is the word. If you're scared, you have the knowledge, you have the confidence, but you just don't want to start because you're scared. That's different, because once you get that push, you're good. But if you don't have the confidence, don't put yourself in that position. Just get the experience first, because time is not going anywhere. Because that's where I started off. I wanted to jump straight into agency nursing and travel, but they were like, wait, just do what is needed and then come back.
It's not for the faint-hearted, I can tell you that.
It's just a good agency. Once you choose a good agency, read your contract, like put it up on a big screen and read it, like take your time with it. And
definitely top to bottom. Make sure you memorize,
read
all of the bullet points that they said. Make sure you read the small print, make sure you read the fine print, and call them out on their promises. And can I just ask a question? Sorry to interrupt, but have you ever had to change a contract halfway through? Have you ever had to call up your agency and say, I need to change this? Because I've had to do that. I've got a story time.
I think mine is pay. I think mine would have to be pay, because when there was one contract where they were like, we're going to pay you this level. And when the payday came, they had paid me a level lower. And I was like, that was not what was in the contract. Let me pull up the contract.
They were paying you a level lower, but because you knew your contract, you managed to get them to change to pay you correctly.
Change it, yeah. That's correct.
Yeah.
They did not.
Okay, no, so that's another tip as well. Make sure you read your contract, memorize your contract, make sure you know how much they say they're going to pay you, and also have like a rough idea for how much you expect to be paid. And you can get that information by speaking to other nurses, by listening to our videos, by doing different things so that you're not being undercut.
Check your pay slip, read your contract, make sure your hours, you're being paid according to the hours that you've done, because it's if it's not making sense, then you're just working for free, basically.
One thing I wanted to also ask you, talking about the bad things, what has been your worst overall experience as an agency nurse. So I'm talking about like the worst in terms of, let's say, accommodation, the worst in terms of just the job that you were in. What has been one of the worst experiences you've ever had, if you feel comfortable to talk about it?
So this was not my last contract, the contract before. I was like, I'm never going to speak about this because this is so, it's not the agency, it's more the hospital. So basically, I was told I was going to stay in a house. This is the worst experience. This is probably like number one. We were put, me and the other travel nurses, we were put on a dementia wing. They put us in a dementia wing that is no longer in use. Mind you, they tried to make it look nice. They painted it and everything. But as soon as I got there, I knew I didn't want to stay in that accommodation. I said, the hospital owns a couple of houses around here. Why can't we be put there? They said, oh, the chef's already living in one and all that stuff. And I was like, that's not our business. Like, I was so angry. So basically, it was an old dementia wing. There were rats around. Like, when I say rats, there were rats. We were living with rats. And I was just, every morning when I wake up, I was like, I don't want to be here. I don't want to be here. Literally. I was like, I don't want to be here. This is ridiculous. I never one day ever picked up the phone, and I never told my agency. I just said, I'm just gonna finish my contract and never come back. It was a beautiful place too, but the accommodation was the worst. The worst. Accommodation was the worst. It was so bad. Some of the nurses ended up leaving in the middle of their contract because they couldn't stay there. But I just felt so sorry for the nurses, the permanent nurses. Like, they were understaffed, and I was like, I am just gonna be nice. I'm gonna finish my contract. I'm gonna help out, and I'm gonna go. And they had the audacity to ask me if I can extend my contract. I said, excuse me, you want me to do what? No, I got to go. I got to go. My flight was Monday. I got to go.
People have audacity. No, okay, number one, listen, my bags would have been packed as soon as I heard the word rat, because I'm like, what are you talking about? Let me tell you, these agencies are getting paid hundreds and thousands for you to be there, and they're telling you they can't afford to put you in a place where they don't have rats. Okay, you're a better person than I am, and
it was too much. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I was shocked. I was like, oh my God, because my contract before that, I was in a new house by myself in like a 4-bedroom, a brand new house. So going from that to that was like, maybe I need to be humbled. But I was like, it's not my fault, you know? Like, I did it for the nurses. I did it for the nurses being understaffed. I was just being nice. And I was like, I was counting my days. I was like, every day I was like, 2 more weeks, 2 more days, 1 more day, a couple more hours. Every day that was just me in the back of my head, just the end date.
You literally become a mathematician starting to count down whenever you do things like that.
Hours. Hours and weeks and days. God. You start to count.
Wow. Do you know what? Yeah,
that was bad.
That does take me to the end of the questions that I had for you. But I wanted to know, is there anything that you would like to add that we didn't talk about, that you'd like the people to know about this agency nursing life, about you?
About me, so definitely something about me. Let me see if you missed anything. No, you've covered everything, but let me tell you, because I always get young girls, people that are just graduated, messaging me saying, Rhoda, I don't know where to start, and how did you get the confidence? One thing about me that people need to know: when I got my nursing registration, I was too scared to start. I didn't start until I had an email from the nursing board saying, if you don't start working, we're gonna have to like, because I was too scared. I couldn't. I was like, what if I kill someone? Like I was just scared. So give myself that push. We're humans at the end of the day. We're scared to do things, but once you give yourself that push, that's it. Like you're gonna regret not starting sooner. So don't be scared. Ask questions because it is so important to ask. There's no stupid questions. So you'd rather ask questions than make a mistake that's gonna put you in jeopardy. So don't be scared to ask questions. And if you feel like you're not being supported, because there's nothing worse than a job that does not support you or looks after you. And that's the same for agency. If an agency does not support you or looks after you, leave, because you're gonna end up being stressed. You're gonna end up hating nursing, because there's so many people that say, "Oh, I've heard so many bad things about nursing. I'm scared." You heard it, but you haven't experienced it. Go and experience it for yourself, because we have people out there, especially nurses as well, saying nursing is the worst career. Don't go there. No, nursing is not the worst career. Every job is going to have that, the cons and. So don't be scared to start.
And I completely agree with you on every single point that you just made. And yeah, and once you've done one, the fearlessness that you have,
it goes away.
You can just.
Oh my God.
Yes.
You're like, who was that? I don't know who that was, because I'm a new person now.
Yeah, it's like, who that?
Yeah.
No,
I can't believe, when I was a baby nurse, I can't believe it.
Girl, you just gotta fake it till you make it sometimes,
Literally. I faked it. Like I faked a lot of things. I would be like, I'm confident to do that. I'll ask questions, but I'll do it like I'm really, really confident. Because when people see you're confident, they're like, oh, okay, she knows what she's doing. But
and when you just act like you're confident, then you really are. You can really fake your way.
Yeah.
Safely, we must add, Wow. No, thank you. I really, really appreciate you coming onto here. I appreciate all the tips that you're giving out. So, no, thank you so much for all of your wisdom. Thank you so much for all of your tips and advice. If you've got any more questions, we've got, obviously, you can always ask Rhoda. I'm going to leave all of the links to her social medias, her agencies, everything that she's spoken about is all going to be linked down in the description, as well as the comments as well. You can have a chat with her in the comments. So yeah, this has been great. I have absolutely loved this little series that we've done, and I hope to bring on more nurses and talk to more nurses who are in like a similar position, or other people who are traveling as well, because I think it's good to see other people, doing this thing. So thank you so much for watching, guys. I really appreciate you guys. If you like the video, then please give it a thumbs up. But yes, I will see you in next week's video. Thank you, guys. Bye.
Thank you.